inshallah, first session, which is a comparative study on the nature of intellectuality in Islamic civilization. Dr. Sayyid Mahmud Musavi will deliver his speech about the subject. He finished his studies on Islamic jurisprudence and fiqh, usul, and philosophy. He gained his knowledge of exegesis and philosophy from Ayatollah Jawadi Amuli and Ayatollah Misbah Yazdi, two eminent professors and exegesis in Qom. He also gained his PhD from Qom University, if I'm not wrong. And the main importantly, I think what he has done, except the other books and except the papers and articles working on the very different theological issues like the meaning of life or like the problem of evil, which is very, very essential problem, in fact, in all religions. He has done 2 volumes of glossary of Islamic philosophy and mysticism and theology terms from Persian into English, which it is useful for all those who work in the field of translation of philosophy and mystical text from Persian into English or even Arabic. Before going to the speech of Dr. Musavi, I would like to ask 3 new guys, friends or scholars who just arrived in the break time to introduce themselves, because the others has done the process of introducing, and after introducing yourself, we are going to have the speech of Dr. Musavi. Thank you very much. Okay, welcome.
Master in love study and have studying a master in religion study in Qom, and student in House Al-Almiya in Qom. And my friend
Assalamu alaikum. I am Sayyid Muhammad Naqavi from Pakistan, and I'm student of Masters in Abrahamic Religions in University of Religions and Denominations in Qom.
My name is Muntazar Al-Bayati from Iraq. I'm a student at Al-Mustafa University from Quran reciting.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen wa sallallahu ala Sayyidina Muhammadin wa alihi at-tahirin. Thanks for Mr. Asghari who introduced me, and thank you for your participations and your attendance. On my behalf, I would like to welcome you to Iran, particularly on these days, which are celebrated as the anniversary victory of Islamic Revolution of Iran, 34th of the victory of Islamic Revolution of Iran. Anyway, you are welcome to Iran, and I hope you will have a good opportunity and chance to see Iran and to have a deep experience, and I hope we have a fruitful talks and discussions in these sessions and also in other sessions with other scholars. Dear scholars and professors, in advance I would like to apologize for any possible error or mistakes, because I'm not native speakers in English. I'm Iranian. I'm from the Yazd, the central province of Iran, and Mr. Asghari introduced me. now I'm the faculty of Baghr Ulum University, and anyway, I have some executive responsibilities and busy these days, and I apologize for not having prepared the written text for you. Inshallah, I promise to do it while in Iran, and I try, inshallah, to give you when you come to Qom and when we visit each other. And I welcome any discussions or any questions. You are free, I think, to interrupt. No problems. If you have any questions, no problem. Particularly given the fact that some of our friends have just arrived, and so the fatigue of travels somehow conditioned the way we hold these sessions and the way I'm going to engage in the discussions. Concerning the reason, this is very, very interesting, and there is a long debate in every, I think, traditions, Islamic, Christian, Jewish, and other religious traditions. We know that reason is anyway the distinct or rationality, which is the utilizing reasons, is a distinguishing character to the human beings, and so we human beings, by being rational, in fact actualize our rationality or humanity. And so in discussing reason and rationality, of course, first of all I should have some clarifications and explanations about the terms. We know in Arabic we use aql for all kinds and types of reason, intellect, and so on. But in English, as in other languages I'm not familiar with, of course I should confess, there is a difference between reason and intellect, and when we discuss the divisions of the reason, the types or sorts of rationality, somehow we might change the terms. Sometimes, for example, we use rationality, sometimes we have to use intellectuality or intellectualisms. But in Arabic, particularly those of our brothers in Arabic or in Iran who have anyway familiarity with the Persian language, in both Farsi and also English and Arabic, we use the same word always. We use aql and aqlaniyat. It means intellect, reason, rationality, intellectuality, or intellectualisms. So there is somehow difference in other languages between reason and intellect, which I try to explain. So concerning some elaborations, we can define reason in terms of some literal explanations. For example, in Arabic, we know the aql, it means sometimes it means a binding core for camel, because it's prevent him from anyway going away and somehow. So aql, literally speaking, it's something that prevent human being from being in error, from being mistaken, from committing, for example, something bad and so on. But these literal explanations and definitions might not be useful in other languages, because reason, ratio, or intellect from other anyway roots in other languages might be different from what we say in Arabic. So we leave the literal, actually, or philological explanations, and we turn to reasons as the technical rationality as technically developed in the Islamic society and Islamic circles of thought. What I would like to emphasize at the beginning and maybe throughout my discussions is the emphasis on the dynamisms and drastic, we can say, change and deep change in the notion of the reason itself, and also the rationality or rationalisms. As I can say, as the concept of reason itself developed, so the rationality and what is the result and the product of the rationality, which is the currents of thought, philosophies, for example, developed. So side by side, human being encountered the reality in a, we can say, progressive way, not in the same way. So little by little, human being, as he developed his experiences, he had to conceptualize and understand, and also make other people understand about his experience and the content of his experience. And so we have different types and different sorts of rationality. And I can, of course, at the beginning, I can give a historical glance at the reason and rationality. We can have a quick look at what happened from the ancient Greek world, at the pre-Socratic, for example, philosophers who would understand the reality and the not of the deep sense of this reasons, but on the observations. And so they would practicing a kind of a natural philosophy at that time. But later we know, at the time of the Plato and Aristotle and Socrates before them, somehow we can say a deeper meaning of reasons and deeper notion of rationality was developed. And now we are not so much concerned about what actually developed in the past and before the Islamic civilizations and Islamic thought. Of course, one point I think is very important, and that is there is always a continuity between these currents of thoughts, and so no drastic change, no development can be done overnight, we know. And we should not ignore, of course, the heritage of the Greece and the heritage of the, anyway, other traditions bequeathed to the Muslim scholars. We cannot ignore, and nobody can ignore. But we know that the Muslim scholars and Muslim thinkers, inspired by, and this is very important, inspired by the Quranic verses, the holy Quranic verses, inspired by the holy traditions, by the, anyway, holy Imams or the Prophet Muhammad, may peace be upon him and his descendants, they developed reasons in a better way, and so they developed the rationality of their own, which is harmonious, which could be harmonious, competent with or consistent with the Islamic thoughts. And so if we think of reason and rationality in terms of philosophy and philosophizing, we know that from the very beginning, Kendi as the first Arab philosophers, and later Farabi as was described as the second master or second teacher, and Aristotle was the first, and also continued this tradition by the Avicenna. These philosophers who were the first thinkers who developed the Islamic rationality in terms of philosophizing and understanding the world. And so we can say that Avicenna and Farabi before him, because they were Muslim, they were inspired by the Islamic teaching, they were not satisfied with what anyway received from the Greek world and Greek philosophers. And so, for example, concerning the concept of God as the unmoved mover, this was not satisfactory for them. So they developed by, we can say, by utilizing the reason, they develop a new concept of God. And so if from Aristotle we have the arguments, for example, for the existence of God as the argument from motions, for Avicenna we know that he developed a new type of arguments as the arguments from necessity and also possibility, and considered God as not the moving anyway cause, but also as the efficient cause. And this was a very, very drastic, I think, change in the history of rational thought. Because for Aristotle, matter, for example, was anyway the eternal, and so the role of God was only to make some changes and bring about some changes in the matter, and so set everything in motion and so on. In the way they depicted God, in the way they depicted anyway the first cause. But Avicenna and Farabi, they could not accept this role, and a much, much deeper, far deeper role should be given to the first cause. And so they developed the efficient cause, not in the sense of the moving cause, but also in the sense of bringing about an existence-giving cause. So God, this rationality, I mean, when human being wants to understand the reality, when he wants to theorize, I mean, we are dealing with the rationality. It means we want to understand reality and we want to get some beliefs about reality, but on the basis of some acceptable considerations. When they wanted to theorize about the origin of the universe, Avicenna, by utilizing his reason, he gave a new idea, a new concept of God, and that was existence giving. So here we know there is the new idea in the context of demonstrating the existence of God, which one of the domain of the reasons. And if we want to continue this way, we can, of course, have the tradition of the Sohrawardi, who was not again content with what Avicenna and what Farabi claimed and maintained about the origin of the reality. And so he again developed a new idea of rationality, which can be called the illuminationist reality, illuminationist rationality. So I would actually want to explain that rationality is something